Hi everyone, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Another day connecting, only a few days before we end 2020. So we have around 4 other days for another global tragedy maybe to happen. Just a joke. So this, according to me, this has been the best year for the planetary consciousness. So sorry if I make some heavy jokes someday, but I have so many planets in the house of Scorpio that kind of I need it. So let's go to the topic for today, which is the continent of Oceania. So let's go to understand Oceania. Usually we say this continent Australia, but it's not Australia. Australia is a country, okay? It's a country which is in Oceania. But the thing is that the biggest part of Oceania is Australia, which is like this kind of continent island that is so big, and it's only for one country, that we usually put the name to the continent. We use the name of the country to say the name of the continent, but it's not like that, because Oceania holds many other islands which are around in the area. So this big island, we usually call it like a continent, but it's not a continent. It's kind of a big island. It's a big island that that doesn't hold many things. For example, when we say continent means that contains things. Okay, so it contains stuff. So like Europe, that contains many shapes and peninsulas and so on. But this continent doesn't hold many things, only one great island and a second island, smaller one, that is called Tasmania. So this big island and this other tiny island are the country of Australia. And Australia is called like this because in Latin it means the land of the south, okay, which is the Austral land. So the continent of Oceania starts in the Indian Ocean, in the islands of Cocos Island, and Christmas Island, and from there it goes to the whole island of Australia, Tasmania, New Zealand, and above we have Papua, which is divided in two. These two islands would be, these two parts of Papua would be a part in Indonesia, then the other half in Papua New Guinea, and from there it follows to Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Fiji, and it end up in Samoa. So all this continent with all these islands is the oceanic continent. So this territory would represent the sacrum chakra of the planet, and is the sacrum representing the kidneys, the womb for the woman, the adrenal glands, So all this region of potentiality. So remember that this continent is related to the creativity. Well, the sacrum chakra is related to the creativity. Is about the arts. Is about the power, the absorption of nutrients to create energy, to create power. Okay, so that would be that continent, the representation of the creation. So we are not talking about the Pacific Ocean, okay? In this territory, the limits of the continent are the countries that I said, and inside this continent, we have also other islands and other countries like Tonga, Niue, what was the other one? New Caledonia, Norfolk Island. We have all these territories there, but they are not from. They are inside of Oceania. So the rest of the islands that I didn't say, they are outside. They are in the Pacific Ocean. So today in the blog, I explained why this continent represents the axis. So I will explain a little bit of why it is, but then you can check it in the blog. So as I said, this continent, Oceania, is basically called like this because it's surrounded by oceans, and most of it is under the ocean. So that's why Oceania. All the islands that are connected to this continent are precisely that. Islands that are surrounded by oceans and seas. So the only part of Oceania that is not in touch with the ocean, with the seas, is the center of Australia, which is a very dry continent, a very big desert, one of the biggest deserts of the world after the Sahara in Africa. So, and in the center of Australia, of this desert, we find Uluru. Uluru is the biggest rock, the biggest stone in the whole planet. So Uluru, the center of this big island, is also called by some people Ayers Rock, okay? But I wouldn't call it like this to hold the energy, the real energy of this place, because Ayers Rock is the name that the person that discovered the rock, the explorer who saw it first, he called the rock on behalf of the Prime Minister of Australia in 1873, which his surname was Ayers. So he called that Ayers Rock. So I rather not to call it like this. It's better to call it Uluru, which is the name that the native ones, the Anangu people from that territory, is the right name. How they call it. So the axis of this ancient world related to the natural world is Uluru, and is this big rock that is in the center of this island, the big island of Australia, and it represents the axis of the ancient world. And just beside it, you have another formation that is called Katajuta, which is the temple to prepare yourself to go into the axis. So let's go to see how this continent was populated thousands and thousands of years ago. So first of all, let's remember, we humans came from Africa, and from Africa we went to the Middle East, from there to Asia, and from Asia we started to spread in three directions: to Europe, to Australia through the region of Indonesia, and above to Siberia, crossing to the Americas. So let's remember about this geography. In that time, thousands and thousands of years ago, around 100,000 years ago, Asia and Australia were connected as one. There were only a few streams of water crossing from the Indian Ocean towards the Pacific Ocean, in between the islands of Celebes, Papua, and Timor. These three regions were the only ones through where the water would flow, but they were so tiny that anyone from Asia could just use some woods and cross to the island in front. And at that time, Australia and Papua were only one. They were connected. So it was really easy for the people to move to Australia and to Asia very easily. The islands of Papua were also connected to Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, and the rest of the islands. They were so close one another, and this is because the water in the oceans were very low because of the glaciations in that time. So what happened here? The thing that changed everything was the explosion of the Toba volcano in Sumatra Island. This explosion, yes, it was 70 to 70,000 years ago, and that created basically the biggest change of our humanity. This change of geography was because this explosion covered the whole world in ashes for a long time, and it created a bigger glaciation and activated the chain of fire, the ring of fire of the Pacific Ocean. So that made all the volcanoes that were connecting the lands of Indonesia started to erupt, and it broke all the region in different islands that separated the Asia from Australia. This movement of this great conflict created in Sumatra made humans to migrate way south and east towards Australia and the islands of the Pacific Ocean, and the other ones went up to Siberia and going to the Americas, all to try to go away from this mess that was created in Toba. This made that people, instead of just living about recollecting fruits in the forest and so on, what they had to do was to adapt, to follow the animals, to create tools, to find agriculture. Okay, so this made humans to begin to think. They needed to find new tools in order to survive. And this is why this volcano was basically the creation of the Homo sapiens sapiens. Yeah, so it was very important. So I'm not speaking about aliens today. I'm speaking only about what happened with the humans. That's it. So because of this change of weather and so on, Australia got separated from the islands of Indonesia, and all the people from Indonesia kept going towards the islands, to Solomon, to Vanuatu, to Fiji. Then they went to Tahiti, French Polynesia, Rapa Nui, Easter Island, and then they went to Chile and South America. And way far in the time, they populated also New Zealand, one of the latest places on being populated. But they started to spread in the Pacific Ocean. But these people, since 60,000 years ago, they populated Australia, and no one touched them for thousands of years. They were there, all quiet, no changes, nothing, because no one would arrive to the island. Nobody would touch the desert. So that's why they found that their power was not to sail the shores and the seas through the islands, but to survive in the desert. So for thousands of years, these people survived in the desert because nobody would come to Australia to invade, because it was the most dangerous land. Everything can kill you there. So no one would touch the island because crocodiles, the poisonous beings in the animals in the sea, the poisonous beings in the land. No one could cross the outback. So it was impossible for anyone to get to the center of this continent. So they were like in the fortress, like protected by nature. So now we go to our brothers and sisters. So here, when these people arrived to Uluru, they saw this portal of two spirals coming down. And the people from the Pleiades and Arcturus, they gave to these people the task to understand that everything has a logic, that the universe, they taught how the universe worked. And by doing that, they gave them a task, a mission, which was you have to hold this this balance, this power by music, by singing. So by vibration, you could maintain the axis while the whole world is going to be created. So while the rest of the humans were traveling around the world, connecting to each other, fighting each other, they were creating cultures and and everything around in the planet. The different languages, countries, civilizations, everything it was like the gestation of the world all around, everything moving constantly. So the people from Australia were in balance, in the center, holding the movement of everyone. As everyone was moving around and transforming everything around, the Australian people, by singing, they were holding the axis of that creation. So that's why they have been intact. They wouldn't move. They were alone in the center. No transformation at all. So approximately around 50,000 years, the Australian people, they were the same, not changing anything until the British came. So what happened? What is the information here? That while the population of Australia was holding this axis stabilized, the whole world could move around, transforming itself, creating. So that's why it's thanks to them that we were able to create. So one important word to correct about this, because I've heard that we usually call them like this. These people is not aboriginals. They are originals. Original means that they are the origin ones, the original ones. They are from the place. They are connected to the origins. Yes. The word aborigin is a name in Latin that the that the people from Europe used to catalog these people, saying that they doesn't have origin. So aborigin means that they have no place, that they are not original from anywhere, that they are not divine, basically. So that's why it's better if we use original people than aboriginal people. Okay. So Australia, New Zealand, they have the purpose of holding the axis of the origin. And this is why those territories are the lands where humans have been originals from the beginning. And also those countries are the last ones on being populated by the civilization that we have today. Along all that time, there were only the same people holding the axis. So what this continent reminds us? Well, it reminds us about the energy of creation. It reminds us about the womb. So all the cells that join together to create a new self in the 0 degree, in the axis, the center of the power. And from there, it starts to create life. So this is the generator of the energy. For a wheel to spin, it needs an axis in the center. So the generator of the energy to create, the generator of energy to create in a whole planet moves all the energy around the world, and the axis, the center, is Australia, Oceania. See? So we have to remember that in our kidneys, in our adrenal glands, in our wombs, we have connected. We have connected the womb, the machine that creates the energy of the world, which is Oceania. The vibration for today is few, 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 few. The statement for today is, I am the breather sky. The quote for today is the unconscious. In the great ocean exist different currents, cold, hot, fast, or calm ones, that that move the waters and beings, propelling them in specific directions, molding its forms with the tides. The second conscience in the rise is the one that molds us into what we are, the one that boosts us, with others into doing, living, feeling, seeing, and carrying with us the information of a group, and forces us for the first time to fulfill a purpose on a specific direction. Let's go to the alignment. Let's go into this. Sit comfortable. Concentrate in your breathing. I remember that my body represents the whole animal kingdom, and through my path, I help them to find the consciousness and enlightenment. I remember that I am seated on my I am in Asia, observing the continent below me, and in the horizon, the light blue and the white lights connecting to the celestial skies. Take a deep breath, holding the I am within me. Take a deep breath and start to move ahead towards the south, watching the islands appear, and I follow the islands. I see the great Sumatra, followed by Java, Bali, and all the group of different islands heading towards the east, like Timor, pointing to the island of the dragon, Papua, in front of me, staring into my eyes. I perceive the soul of this island with its mountains and the rainforest, holding within the registry of all the different ethnicities that lived in this island and that spread towards the Pacific Ocean in South America. I breathe all these humans within me in my inner memory. As I turn to the south, I see a colorful path under the water, the biggest chain of corals, creating the life as anywhere in the rest of the world. And as I look up towards the celestial horizon, I see the big desert of Australia with its beautiful and shiny color red. I see towards the south the big mountains covered in white, shaping the beautiful islands of New Zealand, and above the beautiful path of islands surrounding the continent. Niue, Nauru, Samoa, Fiji, Vanuatu, Solomon, Caledonia. I feel myself surrounded by a garden of islands with many flowers made up of corals. And all of them find the heart, the center, in the red desert surrounded by oceans. I jump into the path of the great desert towards the outback. As I approach to the center, I see these two snakes of light coming down through a breach of rainbows towards the portal on the ground, the great rock of Uluru. Take a deep breath as you descend through this rainbow to the top of this portal. And resound. I am the breather sky. I am the breather sky. I am the breather sky. I am Oceania. Take a deep breath and begin to bring all this information through your body, caressing, stretching, until you come back here and now at your own time. Thank you everybody for being there as always, and see you tomorrow. at the same time.